Say good morning. Say good morning, YouTube. Yeah. Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be letting you guys know how I did at my last market, which was on Sunday. It was kind of an impromptu thing. My mother came down and we decided to do Beasley Farms for June, but only on Sunday because usually they're like the full weekend. But my daughter's birthday party was Saturday. So there is no what I made for my market video before this one, but I will link the one right here from my previous market. And I had the same stuff plus a couple of extra things, but none of those are new things sold at this particular market. So you'll be able to see the items mentioned in this video and that video if you want like context for exactly what it is. And I will let you know, spoiler alert, that it was like a little bit of a flop. So there are some tips in this video of how you can manage that because, you know, that kind of sucks. So keep on watching. And we are back in my house. My mom and my oldest just went to the store to pick up some groceries. So while I have a free second, we are going to go over exactly what sold at my market. I did sell with my mother, like who brought her own stuff. She had tie-dye t-shirts for like babies through like adult plus size, herbs that she grows in her garden that were dried, and she made vanilla extract that she let process for over a year. So that's what she brought. And then for what I brought, I only had out my plushies. This time I didn't have out my headbands. Oh, I did have out my scrunchies. So no headbands, no teethers or rattles or like candles and soap, which is like some side stuff that I do sometimes that I bring with me for like my markets. So this was just straight crochet for me. And then her stuff. And then I'll insert some clips here so you could see like everything. Mira, look it. Look it. She's the bestest guy. The first thing that sold yesterday of my stuff were my kitty being creative mushrooms that I modified the pattern to. So they kind of look like little ice creams. So this time I had them labeled as ice cream because it's summer. One of those sold for $12. And the next thing that sold was my kitty being creative frog using her no-sew pattern. So that's good. So if you don't have that, you should get that pattern because it's definitely a favorite. I sold that for $15. The next thing what that sold was a mallard duck. It was a free pattern with like a modification, I'm pretty sure. So there was like a straight standard duck and then the like mallard duck alternative pattern modification situation. If I didn't say that, sold for $15. The next thing that sold were 2 mini plush octos. That is an all from Jade pattern. I make it in regular yarn and I sell the regular yarn versions for $5 and I make a plush version that I sell for $9. So I sold 2 of those different transactions, but that totaled $18 together because each of them are $9. The next thing that sold was my large octo. That I think is like Sweet Softies or something is the channel, and it's an octopus pattern. It sold for $12. I sold a baby Lakey Froggy and plush yarn. Nope, that one's not plush yarn. I sold a baby Lakey Froggy that I made with worsted weight yarn, spring green and red heart super saver if I recall correctly, for $9. And then the previously mentioned mini octo, that's an all from Jade pattern. I sold one in regular yarn for $5. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 things that sold of my crochet stuff, and it totaled $86. So it wasn't a good one for me yesterday. I mean, it was fine, but if I hadn't been selling with my mom after the $25 booth fee, I would have only made like $60, and that does not include any like yarn or food or like anything to like have gotten me there. So it was kind of a flop a little bit. Together, her and I did okay, but I mean, obviously she gets the money from her sales and I get the money from my sales. and we did end up splitting the fee. So I think my total like profit after the fee was $73.50 because it's a $25 fee. The issue was not the event. The event actually was busier than I had seen it previously. The issue was I don't know. But if you go to an event and it's your first time being at the event and there's good foot traffic, but you're not making sales, first thing that you should do is take a step back and understand that not every event is going to be like a total win. You're not going to like, it's just like how it goes. Because I know personally for myself that my stuff tends to sell well, and I do pretty good at these events. So an event where there was a lot of traffic should have meant in general that I did well. Now I know I did have my mom's stuff as like a variable in the situation, and I'll get into that in a second because I do think that played a little bit of a role. But like I also understand that like it's just gonna happen. I'm gonna go to an event at some point and not do as well as I feel like I should and or have done in the past at literally the same event. Because this was my Beasley Farms event, so I do this one pretty much monthly. So I do skip some months, but that's beside the point. But if you didn't do well, there's some things that you should think about, and we'll like run through a little list. The first thing you should think about is your like target customer, the kind of people that are at the event. I do think this is what played a role yesterday for me because my mom sells tie-dye and food, and her customers are usually like adult people, whereas my customers are usually kid people. So the fact that we had kind of two separate things in the booth, she had people coming in that were only interested in her stuff versus I had customers coming in that were only interested in my stuff. So I do think that affected sales a little bit for both of us. So if you're at an event and like the entire event is like middle-aged women who like things like the Pampered Chef stuff and like tie-dye shirts and like food products, but all your products are pretty much geared toward children, maybe that's the reason why you didn't make sales. Unless they're shopping for like a child or a grandchild, it might not be for them, so you're not going to make as many sales. This farmers market, there tends to be a lot of kids, so I tend to, or a lot of families, I guess, not just kids by themselves, but there tends to be a lot of families, so my stuff does pretty well there. So that can be issue one. Issue two is stuff like if you went there but then the weather was bad, or you went there only to find out that up the road there's another event, because we went on a Sunday and this market runs Saturday and Sunday, but I didn't do Saturday. But I heard Saturday was a flop for everyone who did go because right up the road there was another event in town. So it was basically described as like a ghost town on Saturday. So if you go to the event and you find out it's like a ghost town and or the weather is bad and it clears people out, obviously that's not like your fault. That's not really the event coordinator's fault. It just was luck of the draw. So again, that's another reason you shouldn't be hard on yourself if you go to an event and like it kind of flopped. And then after you consider those like factors, then maybe you could take a step back and like look objectively at your booth. Was there something that could have been better about your booth setup to make it more appealing to the customer? Were your products displayed, nicely? Were things like easy to get to? I know sometimes I like stack things in a way that's not super easy to get to, just because plushies, when they're all different sizes, it can be kind of a pain to like set up. It's not like stacking shirts or hanging shirts or like having like jars for like candles and things. When all your products are different shapes and sizes, it can be a pain to do setup. That's why I always do like a mock run like before every event. But you can take a step back and like look objectively, like was there something that could have made my booth more inviting? Was there something that I could have done to make my stuff like easier to get to for the customer? And then you can start looking at things like that you could change. Now, that's not to say if you realize, oh, wow, I've like over cluttered my stuff. That's not to say your stuff is bad or you messed something up. That's just something to learn from for the future. So I just wanted to share these things so you know that like it can happen. Not every event's going to be like a total W. You might take some like losses and you might, be upset about it because like yesterday was freaking hot. It was like 90 degrees outside, like 92, I think was the high. And we live in Florida, so it's humid, like 25/7. And we were there 10 to 4. And then the day before was my daughter's birthday. And after the birthday, we had to do a mock setup. with my mom's stuff and my stuff, because obviously I don't have her stuff in my booth all the time. So like we had no choice but to do like a trial setup at the house to figure out where her stuff was going to go, where my stuff was going to go, because she came down with her products, but not necessarily her like display stuff. She did bring her rack though, because she has like clothes and I don't have a rack. But yes, so by the time we got to the event, I was pretty like thoroughly done before it like even started. Like I was ready for the weekend to be over because I'm like, I just need to rest. I am tired. So then to get there, do all that to only make like $70 was just kind of like a kick in the pants a little bit. But I just wanted to like let you guys know that it can happen. I've sold like a several $100s at the same event before in one day. Don't be hard on yourself. And a lot of the times, like yesterday, I really don't think it had anything to do with me. It might have been a little bit because of like we had two different things in like the same booth, but like either way, like don't stress yourself out about it. And just if you are going to try to analyze your stuff, make sure to not be hard on yourself if you do realize that there's something that you could have done different or better, because every event should be a learning. So you can get better, and that's not a bad thing. Now, if you're interested in hearing what my mom sold, I can go over that with you real quick so you can see like our total profit for the together for the event. She sold 7 adult size tie-dye shirts that she makes. Those adult shirts total to be $90 together. And then she sold 4 onesies that were tie-dye, and those totaled $30 together. Yeah, and those totaled $30 together. In my opinion, she underprices her stuff, but she also thrifts a lot of the shirts, so her like costs are pretty low. So she's okay only making like a couple of bucks per shirt. But she actually wanted to price them even lower than she did, and I was like, yeah, we can't do that because I'm selling plushies that are like this big for like $10, and you're gonna make my stuff look bad, and or I'm gonna make your stuff look real cheap. So we got to kind of like meet in the middle. And I did lower the price of my keychains to $10 for yesterday, and I didn't actually sell any, to just kind of like make things make sense, because she had bags like drawstring bags for 10. So like it felt like my keychain shouldn't be 15 if a whole bag's 10. So yeah, it was a thing. But altogether she made 120 and I made 86. So what is the math on that? 206? That mathing? I think so. So 206 minus our 25. In total yesterday, we would have made 206 if it was all like our stuff together. And then if we take out the booth fee, it would have been $181, which really isn't the worst together. So I guess when you look at it that way, maybe like the event was just fine. It just happened to be like luck of the draw, that she sold more and like my stuff was a little less. But I don't know. It felt like a flop. Anyway, I'm going to stop ranting now. And if you would like to see my tips for how to sell at markets, especially crochet stuff, you can check out this video right here. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.